everybody, this is Gwen. I just wanted to pop in with a quick video to go over one of the classes that I have scheduled this year, the Mixed Media Shrines or Shadow Boxes class, whichever you prefer to call it, because I do get quite a few questions about what am I supposed to bring, and I also wanted to show some more close-ups of the projects that we're doing in the class so that if it's something that you weren't sure about or you were interested but you didn't know if it was your thing, that I thought maybe seeing an actual video and talking through it and talking a little bit more about the class might help, both if you're not coming but you're thinking about it, and if you are coming and you just want to know what to expect, what to bring, all that kind of things. I'm going to go ahead and change the camera around so that you can see the projects and some of the supplies and things that we'll talk about, and hopefully this will be helpful. Okay, so here we are. These are the 3 samples. You've probably already seen the pictures of them on my website or in different places on Facebook and social media. But I wanted to show each one and just kind of talk through a little bit about what kinds of things you'll want to bring and give you some ideas for how you can customize this so it'll work for you. So this is the original one that I made that started the whole thing. And you can see that it's not very big at all. And you can see some of the details and show you each one. You can see the bottom, the inside, and you can see, I mean, this is a freestanding structure, and what we'll do in the class is we're going to take a base piece of some kind and we'll build that up with clay, and we'll add paint and embellishments and all kinds of things and turn it into some kind of a freestanding thing that's going to go in your little shadow box here. This is the second one that I made, but here you can see this one did not intend, when I started it, I had no plan for this to be a marine kind of underwater mermaidy starfish looking thing. And when I was done, it was totally a starfish. And so I kind of just kept going with the paint colors there, but I really like how that turned out. But you can see some more of the detail here. So we'll do all of this in class. If you want to do beading like this, I would suggest bringing your beads already strung, because that will make it much, much faster and much more likely that you could actually get that done during class, which I really want you to do. So there, hopefully that's not blurring as I bring it really close. That's the second one. And then this one I made more recently and went kind of in a different direction. Now these are flowers that I had made out of clay. I can show you how to make a clay flower. They're actually really easy. And you can see I did a little bit different kind of thing there. Get some more detail there. And you can see on the bottom the feet and some of the detail here. So that's the sample. So let me move those out of the way. Okay, let's talk about the first thing that you're going to want to have with you, the most important part, and this you will need to bring for class. You need a box. And for this, in order to get through this in the class period, you'll want to bring something a little bit smaller. You could do this in a cigar box, you could do it in a larger shadow box, but to embellish something, to build a sculpture that would fill it, and to embellish something that size probably won't happen in 6 hours. So I'm going to show you a few different things. The ones that I've been using and will probably use in class are these Tim Holtz nested boxes. The biggest one is the one that I used on the sample with the roses. So you can see that, and then you've got the other ones. I would say these are probably too small. They're also a little shallow to build out any kind of a shrine or a focal point piece on the inside. This one is probably going to be okay. This is something else that is probably about the right height and width, but it's very deep. And you could do this if you wanted to, but you just need to keep in mind that it's going to be darker. You'd want something that has a little bit more depth to fill it, or you bring something very close to the front of the box. It would work. It is a little bit deep, but it would work. So that is the box. So the next part of it is the focal point, what you're going to put inside of it. I will bring some things that you could use. I will have some stuff like this, some kind of a paper mache ornament or a star from the craft store that you could put in here. and handily enough, it already has a little stick on it. So I'll have some things like that. I may have some chipboard pieces with me, or you can raid your stash or your local craft store or your scrapbook store. This is a scrapbook supply, actually. It's an old Maya Road chipboard piece. But this kind of thing is perfect because we just need a base. We need a building block to work from in the class. Or these little, you know, cheap pieces of wood that you would paint. You could build something off of one of those if you wanted to do a heart. And you could also do, this is a thicker piece of wood. It's obviously not going to fit in there. But you could, you know, you can put your piece in up and down. You can also turn your box sideways. There's nothing that says that it has to be vertical. You could do a horizontal box. I may actually do that in the next time I make one because I think that would be really fun. So those are some of the types of things that I will bring. You could also bring something like a relics and artifacts piece. These eggs would be really great, but that's an option, that's an idea. So that's the kind of thing that you would want to put in the middle. It doesn't have to be something that's already made. That's part of what we're going to do in the class, is just take something really basic, and I'll also show you how to make your own base from scratch, even if you don't have something like one of those things that I was just showing. So the next thing is the stuff that goes on top, and on the stuff that goes on top and on the bottom. So I'm going to bring these back in, and this was just an old piece of metal that I had in a junk box that I bought in a lot off of Etsy that worked perfectly. And then on here, I've got some broken jewelry. This is just I think it was a brooch and then a piece of an old earring that I layered on top of that. But you can also do something like these. There's some prepackaged finials in here, and there are also some pedestals in here. And the pedestals are good. Let's take them out of the package. So you've got some finials that you can put on top of your box. So you could use something like that. Be careful. This is a wooden finial that I have. I mean, you could put that there if you want to, but it's, you know, just be thinking about the scale of the different pieces. It would work really well on something like this, but this, and also this is a vintage cabinet knob, I think. If you have something with a screw on it, you either want to cut that off completely before class starts, because we will not have the tools in the classroom to cut these off. You can use a Dremel with a cutting wheel. That would probably be what I would use at home to cut the screw off, or have your hole already drilled in here. And in this case, for something this long, you would need to do a hole and cut it off, or cut it off completely, and then we can use clay to adhere it on the top, or have it go through the hole, but be planning to build something off of this shank on the inside. So these are some of the things that you can build, or that you can take, that you could use on the top. And keep in mind, you know, it doesn't have to be a finial. It can be a knob, it can be an actual finial, it can be a piece of broken jewelry. And you don't have to put anything at all on the top. That's an option as well. You can see on this one, I didn't use a finial. I put something on the front of the box instead, and that works just fine. So think about that. Bring a few options. I'll have some things, not a whole lot. So if you have something that you would like to use, or that you would think that you'd like to use, go ahead and bring that with you. And then for the bottom, you can see all of these have a base. You don't have to. Again, it's a box. It'll stand on its own. I like to use beads. So you can see that I've got different kinds of beads here. I'd like to use the plainer ones on the bottom, because the fancy ones, I want to show them off. But like these wooden beads, that would be great. Beads are also great. You can see in here where I've taken these fancier beads and used them as I've built up my focal point. So large beads could be really good as well. So think about that as an option if that's the kind of thing that you like to do. Totally optional. So the other thing that you can do for a base is you can have some kind of a pedestal. So you saw these finials that were in here. Well, you've also got a pedestal, and you could stand it like that. And we could use something like that in class too. So just kind of think through what you think would work. This is an old, I believe this is a lamp fixture. That would work as well. I think that's super cool. I really like that. So these kinds of things, just, you know, think of the shape of it rather than what it looks like and what the function is, because that's how we can adapt it. So that's the box, the top, the base, the inside. Then we'll just talk about embellishments. So you can see some of them have things on the front. You've got this, so you can, if you would like to, you can bring some molds. So you can see I used just these iron orchid designs from Prima. And if you would like, if you have something you know you want to use, mold it ahead of time and bring it with you. But you could also bring it to class. And you have, you know, there are so many great options out there for molds. Or if you've made your own mold of something that you think you would like to use, you could bring those along with you. So for the embellishment, you can bring, so you've got these things. You can use the molded pieces. You can use more of the broken jewelry. I mean, this is what I use on everything. It's just I buy these lots of it. And this is where I would say also, if you're working with jewelry like this, you'll want, this is a giant pair of tin snips. And it works best if you use them with safety glasses, just to be careful. But you may want to bring some of those with you. I put those on the list. But that's so we can cut jewelry apart, or pliers, that kind of thing. So broken jewelry is fantastic. There's a ton that you can do with it, repurpose it, layer it. This is one of my absolute favorite things, rhinestone chains. You can see that I add them all over the place. I think I used them on both of those. Or bead chain, pearl chain, that kind of thing. I love all of that sort of thing. You can see on this one, I mentioned wire or beaded wire on your supply list. That's this kind of thing. This is just from May Arts. It's just a beaded wire. And I used that in there along with just, this is another wired trim. So those kinds of things work really well. And then trims, if you want them, ribbons or things to put on the inside, I will have some that I bring with me. Scrapbooking ribbons are great. I have some sari trim here. It would be really good, but these kinds of things, pick colors, patterns, styles that really work for what you want to do. This is a really fun one that I may use. You could see how that would be really great in there. So just kind of think about, you know, bring a few options. The one thing I will say, don't bring a ton, because if you have a whole bunch of options, then you spend the whole time trying to decide what you're going to do. And you want to just, you know, strip that down and go with the basics. One of the things I learned in a creativity class was creativity loves constraints. So constrain yourself. Just bring the things just bring a few options. And then you can see on this one, I've used washi tape instead of ribbon. There are a few different options for washi tape, things that could be fun. So that's an option. I put all of that as optional, and I'll probably have some washi tape in class too. And then beads, you can see on these, and we talked about the great big beads, but small beads. I'll have a little bit of this kind of thing in class if you have, again, styles, colors, things that you really like that you think you want to use. Seed beads, strung, if you want to do anything like this, wrap them. I'll show you how to embed it in the clay. But you can see I take seed beads and put them around here. And I've done that on a lot of these where I use beads as embellishments. You can see them around the top. So beads are a really great thing to use. You can also see on this one I've used a really coarse glitter. That's just a resin flower. These are beads. So kind of get an idea, hopefully, of the sorts of things that you may want to bring. Just plastic, acrylic rhinestones. I use those all the time. They're fantastic. And then along the trim, I'm going to bring stencils. You can bring your own stencils if you have favorites that you want to use. And we'll do some dimensional stenciling on the outside and on the inside, create some backgrounds, and you'll want to bring some paints. The colors that you want to use, you'll use paints to paint your focal point and to paint your box. And I'll also show you how to do some things with paints to make everything go together, because I have about 3 different kinds of metal and clay on here. In the end, you really can't tell which is which. They all look pretty much the same, and I'll show you how to do that as well. The other thing is that you will, as part of the class, you will get some Abe's epoxy clay that you can use in class, and there should be more than enough for you to make your piece and then take some home with you as well. I think that is it for the supplies. Okay, so that's it. I hope that was helpful. I hope that gives you a better idea of whether or not you want to come if you were interested but you weren't sure. And if you are coming, I hope that makes you really excited to want to be there, and also gives you a better idea of what kinds of supplies you want to bring, what you can expect from the class, and also just show you how you can make this really custom to your own style, the types of things that you like to use, and all that kind of thing. So I'm really excited about this class. I hope you are too, and I'll see you there.